Chery Philippines has been playing its A-game lately, bringing in a lot of drool-worthy yet value-packed crossovers into the country. Now what we have here is their latest addition to the local Chery lineup, the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro. Will this Tiggo 2 Pro up the ante in the value subcompact crossover game? Well, it's time for us to find out. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Filipino automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show after you click that like button. Also, special thanks to Chery Auto Philippines for lending me the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro to do this review. Now, the Chery Tiggo 2 sits as the entry-level crossover in Chery's local lineup, providing a good value for money option for the city commuter. Now, the regular Chery Tiggo 2 Automatic is priced at 770,000 Philippine pesos, but this newer Chery Tiggo 2 Pro should be priced a tad bit higher. Now, we still don't have the official pricing figures yet for the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro, so watch out for it in Chery Auto Philippines official channels. Now, that possible price bump also comes with a whole bunch of upgrades in this Chery Tiggo 2 Pro, starting off with this front fascia. I mean, look at this thing, guys. Who says that being a budget car means that you have to look frumpy? The Tiggo 2 Pro looks mean and gorgeous at the same time. In fact, when you look at it, it looks like the love child of a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro and the Hyundai Kona. Now, the LED DRLs are mounted up top here, giving an impression of squinting and glittering eyes. Now, when you look at the front grille of this thing, the design is obviously lifted from the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. Now, when you combine these two together, it forms a look that is both aggressive and macho at the same time. Now, if you're looking for the halogen headlights of this thing, well, they are mounted quite lower here on the front bumpers, and they're placed in a carbon fiber-like headlight housing right there. Now, this futuristic look shares that design format that can be found in other modern crossovers out there, like the Maxus D60, the Hyundai Kona, as I mentioned, and the Mitsubishi Xpander Cross. Here on the side, the Tiggo 2 Pro moves away from a rugged profile towards a more sporty aspect. You see, we still get plastic claddings here on the body, but it has been minimized here in the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro when you compare it to the Tiggo 2 Automatic. However, we still get the same plastic claddings here on the wheel wells, down to that small fake air vents that I found on the front fenders of the Chery Tiggo 2 Automatic. It's still present here in the front fenders of the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro. However, the good news here though is the Tiggo 2 Pro still gets functional and load-bearing roof rails here. And when you check out the doors, you'll see that the doors are heavy and they also close with authority. Now, that's not something that you'd expect in this price segment. Now, when you look at the wheels and tires of this Tiggo 2 Pro, you'll see that it has the same wheel size as the Tiggo 2 Automatic. These are 16-inch alloy wheels here, and they're wrapped in 205/55 R16 tires. Behind those wheels, we still get the same mechanical bits found in the Tiggo 2 Automatic. This Tiggo 2 Pro gets 4-wheel disc brakes. Again, another good surprise in this budget crossover segment. And for your suspension, we have a MacPherson setup in the front and a torsion beam at the back. Now, the ground clearance of this thing still stands at 186 millimeters, which is the same as the Chery Tiggo 2 Automatic. Here at the rear end, well, the Tiggo 2 Pro pretty much shares the same design with the regular Tiggo 2 Automatic, save for a couple of notable changes. Well, we still get the same LED taillights here and the same liftgate design, but the Tiggo 2 Pro now comes with a redesigned rear bumper here, which now incorporates a pair of faux exhaust garnishes right there. Now, of course, we also have the Tiggo 2 Pro badging right here. Now, when you pop open this manual liftgate, you'll see that the Tiggo 2 Pro returns 420 liters of cargo capacity, which is good enough for a medium-sized luggage, and a smaller hand carry luggage right beside it. Now the Tiggo 2 Pro also comes with a donut spare tire, which increases your peace of mind, and in case you need to transport longer or larger items, well, the back seats also fold down, but they don't really fold flat, so you also have to take that into consideration. Since the Tiggo 2 Pro has the Pro in its name, well, it does get a bit of a Pro upgrade in the engine and transmission department. Now, while this is still the same 1.5-liter 4-cylinder gasoline motor found in the Tiggo 2 Automatic, well, this Pro engine has been massaged to give out 2 more horsepower and 5 more Newton meters of torque. Now, this Pro motor now has 108 horsepower and 140 Newton meters of torque. Now, the power is still sent to the front wheels via a newer CVT transmission with 9 simulated gears. Now, when it comes to the fuel economy of this thing, well, it returned to me pretty much the same fuel economy as the Chery Tiggo 2 Automatic that I also reviewed. In city driving, it returned to me 8 kilometers per liter, while on a highway drive, I was able to get 15 kilometers per liter. The cockpit layout of the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro doesn't really stray too far away from the cockpit layout of a regular Tiggo 2 Automatic. However, we do gain a bunch of upgrades here inside. Now, the first upgrade that I noticed is this. The Tiggo 2 Pro now comes with a smart key fob, which means that we now have an engine push start button right here inside. Now, I love the fact that this Tiggo 2 Pro is also equipped with the walk-away door locks, and it also automatically unlocks for you once it senses the smart key fob. Now, that is one huge convenience feature in my book. Now, when you look at the seats of this Tiggo 2 Pro, it's pretty much the same combination of leather and fabric seats that we first saw in the regular Tiggo 2 Automatic. However, guys, I must say this, well, these seats are some of the comfiest seats that you can sit on in the budget city car category. I mean, you really gotta try it to know that these seats are the bomb. Now, the steering wheel of the Tiggo 2 Pro also has a flat bottom now, which shows you its more sporty aspirations, but it is still wrapped in leather right here. Now, we also have hands-free buttons for connectivity and also buttons for cruise control. Now, that's something that you wouldn't expect at this car category. Now, the wheel though only adjusts for tilt. It doesn't really telescope, guys, so yeah, now that one is pretty much expected here in the budget city car segment. Now, when you move over to the instrument gauge cluster here, the Tiggo 2 Pro's gauge cluster has been redesigned, although it still remains analog here, guys. But I love that nice and clean layout that it has now, plus that orange accent right there in the middle. Now, we also have a black and white multi-information display right there in the center of these 2 gauges. And this multi-information display shows you vital vehicle information, including an engine temperature gauge. Now, that's one piece of information that you wouldn't see in the other contenders in this car segment. Now, when you move over to the infotainment system here, the Tiggo 2 Pro gains an inch of screen real estate because what we now have here is a 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which unfortunately still has just a Bluetooth connectivity and a smartphone mirroring. Now, another feature here in the infotainment system that I love is the fact that you can turn off that LED DRLs up front right here in your infotainment system. Now, that feature means that you could just chill out and relax in your car at the parking lot and not let other people wait for you to get out of your slot because they could see your LED DRLs turned on. So you could just turn this thing off and just go about doing whatever business it is you're doing inside your car while you're at the parking lot. Now, we also have here a reverse camera image, and the image quality is quite decent. And when you move down from there, we have a premium looking set of controls for your manual climate control system here. It is manual, but it still looks quite good. Now, moving from there, guys, we have a manual handbrake right here and a couple of cup holders, which I will subject to my Clean Canteen tests. The thing is, Chery Auto has always had small cup holders, so I'm pretty sure this will fail. So let's see. Yep, it goes in but not all the way in, so it's not really that stable. So yeah, it fails my clean canteen test. Now here's another nifty feature that this Tiggo 2 Pro has that most of the other contenders don't. See? It has a leather padded center armrest right here. And this center armrest even has a small cubby there. So yeah, for the price that you're paying, we're actually getting a center armrest right here. That is another nifty feature. Now, when it comes to the safety bits of this Tiggo 2 Pro, well, it is equipped with a bunch of basic safety bits, which you can now see on your screen. It's decent enough and pretty much average for the car category that it's in, and it will definitely keep you safe and all of your passengers safe as well. Now when you look at the cabin materials used here, well, being a budget city crossover, well, this Tiggo 2 Pro still has a bunch of hard plastics here and there. So you got hard plastics on your door cards, although we do have some nice leather inserts on your door cards, and we have a bunch of hard plastics on your dashboard. Now the good thing here though, guys, is yeah, Chery Auto designed these plastic bits with a bit more texture, some nice finishes here, which makes this cabin look more premium than it actually is. The back seat of the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro is pretty roomy for a small subcompact crossover. I'm 5'6", guys, and this is my driving position, and I still get around 4 inches of knee room here and a good 5 inches of headroom. As I mentioned, it is pretty roomy for a small subcompact crossover. Now, when it comes to amenities here at the back though, it is a budget city crossover, so yeah, you don't really get any amenities here at the back. However, what you do get is Chery Auto Philippines stellar after-sales support. You see, this Chery Tiggo 2 Pro is also covered by Chery Auto Philippines 10-year or 1 million kilometer engine warranty, and you also have a 5-year general vehicle warranty, a free 3-year preventive maintenance service package, and a free 3-year roadside assistance package. So yeah, with a support like that coming from the local distributor, who needs a center armrest here at the back anyway? Alright guys, so we're now driving the all-new Chery Tiggo 2 Pro, and first up, visibility and ride comfort. Well, this Tiggo 2 Pro drives pretty similarly to the regular Chery Tiggo 2 Automatic, and that means that you've got a good amount of forward visibility and sideways visibility as well. The small form factor of this thing also means that it's quite easy to maneuver around the city. Now the steering feel of the Tiggo 2 Pro is nicely weighted, and it has a good level of response to it considering that this is a budget city crossover. Now I love the fact that Chery Auto decided to stick with the hydraulic power assist system with this thing, well, which means that this would be more affordable to maintain in the long run. Now, one notable missing feature in this Tiggo 2 Pro is the fact that we don't get an Eco and a Sport button anymore. So this thing doesn't have any drive modes, but rather what Chery Auto did with this Chery Tiggo 2 Pro is they just merge it all into one drive mode, which is perpetual sport mode. You see, when I drove the Tiggo 2 Automatic before, I did mention that the eco mode of that thing is pretty much useless because, well, it's on the super anemic side to a point that you wouldn't really be using it at all. So when I was driving that regular Tiggo 2 Automatic, I would keep to sport mode all the time. So the fact that Chery decided to give this Tiggo 2 Pro just one drive mode, which is the default setting, which is sport mode all the time, means that, yeah, as I mentioned, it is a good decision on their part. Now, when it comes to the response and the acceleration of this thing, well, it does get a good amount of low-end response, which is what a budget city crossover would need. You see, this thing will be spending majority of its life going around city streets like what we're doing now. And that's where you need most of the response to come from. You need it to come from down low, from standstill. And in that regard, well, this Tiggo 2 Pro delivers. Now, despite having a CVT though, well, yeah, the response is pretty good. But if you floor it, well, you will get that CVT drone, and the engine will sound like it is straining. It's straining hard, see? And it doesn't really translate to speed. So the technique when you're driving the Tiggo 2 Pro is you should have some nice and smooth throttle inputs here, just to make sure that you will maximize on your fuel savings while you're driving the Tiggo 2 Pro. Now, another notable improvement of this Tiggo 2 Pro over a regular Tiggo 2 automatic is much better NVH levels. You see, Chery Auto also improved on the NVH, on the insulation of this thing. And when I checked out the spec sheet, well, the Tiggo 2 Pro did gain 45 kilos of curb weight over a regular Tiggo 2 automatic. Now, I do believe that that additional 45 kilos all went to insulation in this thing because it really sounds so quiet here. Now, that is another feature or improvement that a lot of these city commuters would appreciate. The Tiggo 2 automatic has a good level of NVH already, but this Tiggo 2 Pro further improves on that. You know, when you drive this thing on noisy city streets, and yeah, if you're driving here in the Philippines, you would know that we do have a bunch of noisy city streets here. Yeah, when you're driving this thing, it doesn't feel like you're driving a budget crossover. Because, well, yeah, the NVH levels is really, really good. It is super quiet here inside, and it feels like you are driving a crossover that is so much more expensive than what the price of this thing would suggest. Now, I did get a chance to take this out on the highway and floor it and go flat out. And yes, while the response at slow speed is pretty decent, once you reach the top end of the rev range and you go up to highway speeds, yes, the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro also tends to lose its breath. Now, that's not unique to this vehicle because all the other budget city commuters that I've tested all have that same characteristic. That all boils down to, well, having, of course, a smaller engine displacement here. And yeah, the fact that this is really more of a budget city crossover, a city commuter, rather than, a canyon carver or a speed demon or stuff like that, This thing is just meant to take you from point A to B in relative comfort. Overall, guys, well, the all-new Chery Tiggo 2 Pro combines an easy-to-drive character, a small form factor that makes it so easy to maneuver around town, plus that comfortable and quiet cabin. Now, put that together with the Chery Auto Philippines stellar after-sale support, and you have a daily driver that would give you years of hassle-free driving. Now, Chery Auto as a car maker has come a long way, and I am quite excited to see what else they will bring to the table. There was a time when shoppers in the budget city car category will have to make do with a small city car or a bare bones crossover. Now, with the arrival of the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro here, well, these budget city car shoppers have the option to get a stylish looking crossover that is fully optioned with a bunch of convenience features. Now, throw in Chery Auto Philippines stellar after-sales support, and you can now see why the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro is the new Pro in the budget city car category. Thanks for watching.